What's going on, lads and lasses? Welcome back to 100% Mag. So it's ended down at Anfield, Liverpool 2, Newcastle United 0. And unfortunately, it didn't start out well for it in the fact that we got the news that Isak was not going to be available to play. Apparently, he picked up a knock or something along them lines. But he was on the sidelines having to watch on as, of course, Callum Wilson took over the duties of Isak for this game. And I've got to say, the chances that Wilson got in that game tonight, if they had landed to Isak, Liverpool would have been beaten, and literally beaten. They would have been absolutely mauled tonight down at Anfield in their own stadium, on their own ground, on their own soil. But it wasn't to be. Unfortunately, that fluky luck that we've seen Liverpool get with Erling Haaland, of course, missing out on their game because he picked up the knock in our game, which ended up meaning he missed the Real Madrid one for City, and then he also missed the Liverpool one as well. You know, we're seeing that a lot with Liverpool this season. A lot of this fluky luck where they're just not having to come up against the big players for these teams that are playing against them. And again, it was the same tonight, you know, no Isak there. If we had Isak, you could see the chances. Like I said, I felt with Callum Wilson, you know, Isak would have been putting them away. Callum Wilson should have put them away, but he's just not match sharp enough to be able to do that. And with them two ACL injuries that he's picked up as well since being here, it's just not the same Callum Wilson anymore. It's time for him to move on. I do believe that now. And looking at the bench, you know, we've got a young Will Asula there sitting on the bench, raring to go. He did eventually get on in the second half, about 67th minute mark, when we're seeing Eddie make 4 substitutions, which were, of course, Asula, Mailey, Bucky Barnes, of course, and Kieran Trippier. I believe that was the entire 4 that came on. If I did miss anybody out there, do correct us down in the comments below, of course. But Arne Slot wasn't on the sideline for Liverpool tonight. He did serve the first of his 2-game suspension. Surprise, surprise that they'd do that. Because if he didn't serve it tonight, then if they had given him it after this game, he would have been missing the final. But because he served a game tonight, that means, of course, he will not be missing the final. But at the end of the day, a manager's a manager. A manager can only do so much. It's what the players do when they get out there and play to the tactics that the manager gives. So at the end of the day, looking at it tonight, you know, it was a bunch of fluky situations, and you know, at the end of the day, Salah still didn't get on the score sheet. He assisted, but he didn't get on the score sheet, and no matter how much he wanted to. So that's a little positive that we can take away from this game. But I mean, not to quote the septic teams, but we've got bigger fish to fry. You know, all jokes aside, we do have bigger things than this game against Liverpool. Yes, this would have been great to get a win against Liverpool down at Anfield, don't get us wrong, or even just coming away from Anfield with a point, you know, because we haven't won down there. We haven't claimed anything positive down there since 95, you know, against Liverpool. So it would have been amazing to be able to do that and, you know, put that one to bed. But it's not to be. It's just not being on night tonight with that whole situation of Isak not being available. And then, you know, even without Isak there, you could still see, you know, we were still going toe-to-toe with Liverpool in that game. Sometimes even outdoing them in the game. You know, but it just wasn't to be. We just couldn't get the result, you know, that we wanted, which would have been the 3 points in the bag. But, you know, at the end of the day, we've got the game against Brighton coming up on the 2nd of March, of course, which will be at St James's Park, and that is going to be for a chance for us to get into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. So, like I say, hate to quote them teams, you know, like Arsenal and that, but we do have bigger fish to fry. We've got a chance to get into the quarterfinals of an FA Cup and a chance to get ourselves to Wembley once again this season. We haven't even gotten to Wembley the first time yet for this final against Liverpool. So we'll see what happens. You know, at the end of the day, Isak's going to be available. Fingers crossed, touch wood, all that stuff. Isak will be available for the game at Wembley. And, you know, we'll get to see exactly what we should have seen tonight with, of course, Isak playing, but it wasn't to be. Let us know your thoughts anyway down in the comments below. I don't want to drag on the video for too long. But at the end of the day, it's happened. It's done. Let's move on. And let's focus now on the game against Brighton in the FA Cup. Till next time, remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. However, lads.